Hello everyone, today we're going to be doing a dandelion puff painting. So we're going to be drawing a field of dandelion puffs with their little seeds blowing in the wind with a beautiful warm or cool color background. We'll talk about that in a minute. So what you're going to need is a blank piece of white paper, something that you can paint on, so some sort of watercolor or mixed media paper or something heavy. You're going to want a black marker, a white oil pastel, as well as some watercolors, a brush and water. Now your marker does need to be permanent, so a Sharpie or anything like that will work because it will get wet and you don't want it to smear. So let's get started. The first step is we're actually going to draw our picture in pencil first and then go over it with our marker. So we're going to draw some dandelion puffs. So let me show you how we're doing this. I'm going to zoom in for this part. So for our dandelion puffs, I'm going to draw a circle, and then coming out of my circle, I'm going to have different sort of length lines coming out of it. And I'm going to do some that are short, some that are tall, but I'm just trying to fill it up. I might also draw like little circles inside to make it look like the little seeds are attached to the center. However you want to do it. Doesn't look much like a dandelion puff yet, but it will. And then from here, I'm going to draw sort of a long wavy line. And then I'm going to do a second line next to it to make it look thicker. It could be straight, it could be wavy, it doesn't really matter if you're going to go all the way to the edge of your paper with it. Draw at least a few of them like this, and then we'll talk about what we're doing next. After you have a few dandelion puffs drawn, we're going to draw some seeds looking like they're blowing in the wind away from them. So the seed is going to have a little round shape. Then you can kind of just draw a little string coming out of it. And I'm going to keep doing that. And what I want to do is try to make it feel like they're flowing through the air. So I want them to kind of travel all together in a row almost. They don't have to be a perfect row, but just kind of going in the same direction. And I'm trying to create some movement in the sky by doing that. All right, let me zoom out so you can see like the full picture. Okay, so here's what I have so far. So I have these fun circles with lots of lines bursting out of them, thick stems, and then I have these little circles with little lines coming out of them, kind of a little bunch here, and then they kind of go into more of a line going across the page because I want them to feel like they're flowing and kind of flying away. So I'm having them kind of flow in that direction. Now I'm going to go over some of these items with Sharpie just so they stand out really well when I do my painting part. Okay, so here's the things I went over with my Sharpie. I outlined my stems. I filled in my centers kind of roughly so that they're not super clear. There's a little bit of a scribble effect happening. I also added a few little black dots around it just to make it look like seeds. And then I outlined all of my little tiny seeds. That's what those little circles are in the sky. They're seeds that are flowing away. I did not outline these lines or these lines popping out because this is going to end up being white. So I wanted to make sure those stayed the way they were. If you would like to, you can erase any pencil lines that are showing up still around the stem, but we don't want to erase any of the other pencil lines. So if you think some of these stem pencil lines should get erased, feel free to do that. Leave the rest. Now is the part for our oil pastel. Take our oil pastel and we're going to color right over these lines and right on top of these other little lines flying away. So I'm going to zoom in so we can see it a little bit better. Okay, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to color right on top in sort of a zigzag fashion on top of the pencil lines. And you really can't see it very well, but you want to make sure that you can see enough if you catch the light that you can see that there is something going on the paper. So if I turn it and catch the light just right, you probably will be able to see that there is a little bit of tone difference, a little bit of color difference. So we're going to do that with all of these. It's okay if it gets on the black. In fact, that'll make it look like the black is inside those puffs. And now I'm take this and I'm just going to go on top of these little dashes. All right, so I've done all of my oil pastel step and my Sharpie step, and now I'm ready for the watercolor. So we're going to zoom out so we can see the full picture again. And now we're ready to add our watercolor. So you're going to decide what sort of background color you want for this dandelion picture. Do you want to go with warm colors or cool colors? Warm colors are the colors in the rainbow that when you them, they make you think of something like fire or heat. They make you think of warm things. Warm colors are red, orange, and yellow. If you want to do warm colors for your background, you're going to pick some of these colors to do for your background. If you want to do cool colors, you're going to pick one of the colors at the end of the rainbow that makes you think of something that is cool, like ice or cool grass. Those colors are green, blue, and purple. If you have brown, black, or any other colors, we're not going to be using those for this project, just our nice bright colors. I think I'm going to be doing cool colors for my background. So I'm going to take a nice big brush and I'm going to take my water and I'm going to get my watercolors ready. I'm going to dip and drip. So I'm going to dip my brush and drip, drip, drip it into the color. Dip my brush, drip, 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 dip my brush, drip, drip, drip into the color. Now each of my colors is getting wet and ready to go for my background. Taking a large brush of water, I'm going to wet my surface a little bit just to kind of get it going, just the first little bit here so that it's not too dry. And I'm going to take my first color and start laying it down. And what you're going to notice is that wherever I did oil pastel, it's going to resist color. It's going to create a nice resist. And I'm dipping into some purple too. And if you think your color is too dark, end up dipping your brush into more of the color, because I thought that purple looked real dark. I'm just going to dip my brush into the water and spread that color out. And it's going to actually make it lighter, because with watercolor, if you want something to be lighter, you just add more water to it. If you want it to be darker, you use less water. And I'm going to do a lot of mixing on the paper. So I'm not mixing in my tray. If I mix in my tray, it's going to ruin my colors. I'm mixing on my paper. So while my paper is wet, while there is paint on it, I'm going to be taking my watercolors and dipping it right on here and letting it mix with other colors that are already on the paper. And I could add some green in here, but I think I'm going to just stick with my two cool colors, blue and purple. Because green is a cool color too, so if I wanted to add some green in here, I could, you know, throw a little green here, maybe at the end. Have it. Our beautiful dandelion puff painting is all finished, and all that needs to happen is for it to dry out so we can just put it on display. If you want to, you could also color in the stems after it dries with black if you'd rather them be all black so they stand out. You could also, when the paint dries, go over them with maybe green paint or any other color that you think would look really good for a stem, but that is entirely up to you. Can't wait to see your beautiful dandelion puffs and see what gorgeous, warm and cool color backgrounds you decide to come up with.